Hello and welcome to another lively edition of A Splash of Paint, brought to you in association with the SAA. In today's programme, it's a colourful mix of practical demonstrations and exercises to inspire your artistic passion and encourage you to try something new. So sit back and enjoy 60 minutes of the latest creative tips and techniques from some of today's most popular leading artists. Right, let's get started and take a closer look at what's on today's palette. We go out and about with Fraser Scarf as he returns to present a fascinating insight into the life of another celebrated artist. SAA professional artist Mike Skidmore will be showing us how to get to grips with the basics of painting portraits in oils in today's Try Your Hand At project. Enthusiastic book expert Henry Malt will be dropping by to give us an independent look at one of the many art books available to unlock your creative streak. And we'll be throwing the spotlight on the versatile world of acrylics as we introduce SAA professional artist Bob Hughes. But before all that, I'm going to show you how to paint some fantastic boulders and stone effects in your watercolour seascapes, or actually landscapes as well. It would work quite nice. So I've pre-prepared this little basic evening seascape scene, and I'm going to use a bit of masking tape first and just take a piece off and just take the stickiness away by sticking it to yourself first, or your trousers, or your neighbour's trousers, or even get a bit of that stuff off your forehead and take the stickiness away. I'm going to put this probably, I don't know, 2/3 of the way down into the sea and get that nice clean edge. And then also we'll come a little bit lower as well. I'll do the same again, take the stickiness away, get some of this stuff off your forehead and put that right at the bottom. And that'll give us two edges to work to. And we're going to use a smaller brush to start with, a size 6. I'm going to mix up some natural grey with some burnt sienna, and that'll give us a nice brown rusty grey colour. And we're going to use this, it's quite thick for this as well. I'm going to put some of the sort of stones and rocks that actually pop up as the tide comes in or out. And you can put as much time as you want into these really. In fact, it looks like the Loch Ness Monster at that point. There we go. And just use a little bit of water, wipe it on tissue, and just at the end, I'm just going to take it away. Just going to soften it off right at the end there. That helps it to go out to sea. And then using some kind of card, some sort of store card or credit card or something, it's a good way to get rid of your credit cards, by the way. Chop them up, use a clean edge. I'm going to lay it flat and just lightly wipe away a little bit of the paint. Now you won't see it a massive amount on this particular one, but you can see it just starting to give texture. So it's the cut edge that you're trying to go for this one. And just wipe it away and you can see how it's starting to give me a nice little bit of shadow texture and light and dark shading. Now if we take that away, if we remove that from the picture, it should leave a nice crisp, sharp edge. And if we do a little bit of reflection, so use dry brush for this, actually pick the paint on the brush and just wipe the excess off on the tissue. And then just below, we can just very lightly reflect this as though it's just lightly sat in the water there. So it's a bit of boulders or something coming through the scene. There we go, a few ripples. And then right at the bottom, using a larger brush, size 10 or 12 for this one, and again, very thick, grey and burnt sienna colour, nice and definite. I'm going to paint some larger ones. So I'm going to come right down. Just put a bit of time on the edge of these things. So when you first put them on, it looks a bit daunting, looks a bit heavy, but you're going to scrape most of this paint off. And in some respects, the thicker you put the paint on, the more effective it is at leaving the texture behind it. And you can put as much time as you want as regards the shape of these things. So I'm just going to lift these off in a second with that card. I'm just going to change for the smaller brush, the 6, and just put a bit more detail on the shape. Make sure the paint's all fresh and everything like that. And it's just going to give me that effect there. There we go. So that's a big silhouette at that point. Use the card, the cut edge, and lay it flat and put lots of pressure on, and you can see how it actually wipes away and leaves a light patch. Take the paint off with your finger and do maybe a smaller one below. It's important to put the masking tape on because it gives you the edge. Imagine this was sat on the beach. If you wipe the paint away without the tape, it would actually smudge the sandy area. And the more pressure, obviously, the more paint comes off. If you find you do something that you don't like, you can always put the paint back on again. So what I'm going to do, just to show you this, I'm going to paint this piece again just there. You can go over it as many times as you like, because it's a dark colour anyway, until it works. So it's got a lot of benefits to doing this effect, because it gives you a nice effect and you can quite easily get over mistakes with it. And if we take that away, take the tape away, it should leave quite a nice rocky looking area in the foreground of your landscape picture. And you can see it works really well. And of course any seascape is nice just to come back on the rocks, dropping a little bit of extra tonal work at the back of these rocks. So just put in a bit of extra darkness to help separate some of these areas. And of course it's essential to put a couple of little seagulls. But we'll have 3 of those in your sky. And there you go, folks, quite an effective way of painting lots of rocks very quickly. Well, folks, it's time to leave the studio now and go out and about. Let's step inside the Tate Britain and join Fraser Scarf to take a closer look at an artist considered to be one of the most leading portrait painters of his generation.
Hello, I'm Fraser Scarf and I'm here at London's Tate Britain today, where I'm going to be looking at some of the greatest works of British art from the past 1,000 years and explaining a bit about why they've inspired me as an artist. So this is a painting by John Singer Sargent of his friend W. Graham Robertson. Now, Robertson is a bit of a man about town. He's an author and artist and fancies himself as a bit of a dandy, but he never kind of really sticks to anything. Sargent painted him, and although the sitter is 28 years old, Sargent actually makes him look reasonably teenage in this picture. He's kind of elongated his body and made his face look incredibly young for a 28-year-old man. What really attracts me to this picture is Sargent's handling of the paint. Now, Sargent is a sort of bravado painter in the alla prima genre, and he's often sort of regarded as being a bit sort of slick, but Sargent's paintwork and his application of paint is incredibly great for an artist to look at. Certainly the sort of jade handle of that walking cane there, incredibly nice sort of direct brushstrokes. And the main emphasis of this painting seems to be this sort of velvet overcoat that Robertson is wearing, and he's reported as actually asking to take this coat off during the sitting, which took place in the summer. So the poor guy's obviously rather warm when this painting's taking place, but Sargent, being the stickler for detail, insists that he keeps the coat on throughout the sitting. So there we are. I hope you've enjoyed this look at one of the masterpieces of British art as much as I have. Join me next time for more Out and About, when I'll be looking at another painting that's inspired me throughout my career.
Not only was Sargent one of the most successful portrait painters of his era, he was also a gifted landscape painter and watercolourist responsible for creating roughly 900 oil paintings and more than 2,000 watercolour paintings, as well as countless sketches and charcoal drawings. Right, folks, time for a quick break now, but join us in part 2 for today's Try Your Hand At project, when SAA professional artist Mike Skidmore shows us how to get to grips with the basics of painting portraits in oils. And our resident book expert Henry Malt drops by to take a look at one of the many art books available to help unlock your creative streak. I'll see you soon.